okay, we're gonna try that again. For the last 5 minutes, I thought I was recording and I wasn't. So, God, I don't even know where I was when I started looking for him. I remember them telling me he was being taken to Hawthorne. Looked up Hawthorne jail, called. The lady said, oh yeah, he was just released. Started calling his cell phone like crazy, texting. Would just go straight to voicemail, messages weren't going through. Like his phone was dead, which, not surprising. So I called the jail back. I was like, hey, still looking for my husband. You said he just got released. He won't answer his phone. I don't know how to find him. She says, well, some lady picked him up in the parking lot, so he was with somebody. So then your mind starts reeling like, okay, who's this lady? So once that part of my mind calmed down, I was like, okay, maybe it was Megan and he called her because he was too scared to call me to come pick him up. So I messaged Megan on Facebook. She had no idea what was going on. I called his parents to see if they had heard from him. Of course, they hadn't heard from him. So I called the Indian police station. Sorry, that's not politically correct. I don't know what else to call it. The Indian Reservation Police Station. They said, yeah, he was taken to Hawthorne. Somehow figured out that I was calling Hawthorne, California, and he was at Hawthorne, Nevada. So I start trying to call Hawthorne, Nevada jail, and had no idea, but Hawthorne is like this really creepy small Nevada town, like backwoods type stuff. So I'm calling the jail. Nobody's answering. Nobody's answering. So I don't know what to do. So I said, okay, well, he's obviously in jail, so what do? Call a bail bondsman. Get him out of jail. So I start calling around. The ones in Reno said, oh no, that's too far. We can't do anything out there. So I started trying to find ones that were close to the jail, but I had no idea like where Hawthorne was or what it was near or anything. So I don't know how many I called, a bunch. I finally got a hold of one guy and I kind of tell him what's going on. I said, I'm really confused. I can't exactly figure out where he's at. And I don't know what to do. I need some help. I need some kind of information as to what I need to do. He's like, okay, let me see what I can find out and I'll call you back. Okay, cool.
In 2 miles, bear right to merge onto I-5 North towards Portland.
Okay, towards Portland. So I was relieved. I finally got somebody who was going to help me. So I'm sitting on the front porch of the house. A mess. And he finally called me back, and you could hear it in his voice, like it wasn't good. It was not good. He's like, yeah, I found him. He's at Hawthorne. Is it Hawthorne County? I can't remember. Some jail in Hawthorne, Nevada. And his bail is, God, I think he said it was $250,000. It was somewhere in the mid 200,000s. I was like, my heart sunk into my stomach, and I was speechless. And he started reading off all the charges to me. It was like felony domestic abuse or battery, I can't remember. Felony domestic abuse with a strangulation aggravation or something. drunk while in possession of a firearm. You can't have firearms on an Indian reservation, so there was something to do with that. And then DUI. He goes, I'm really sorry, but even if you had the, whatever it is, 10, 20% in cash to post bail for him, most bail bondsmen won't do it anyway because that's such a high liability.
Bear right to merge onto I-5 North towards Portland.
And it is, oh shoot. Oh, here we go. Over and above their bond limit, so they can't legally do it anyway. And even if I could find somebody to do it, I'd have to put the house up as collateral. So he said, I was like, well, what do I do? And he said, well, he'll have a something hearing in, I don't know, like 3 days. I was like,
For 173 miles,
what the
continue
hell?
straight on.
Let him sit in there for 3 days? He's like, or you can call in an attorney and see what an attorney can do. So I kind of let that rest for the night. I remember I called Melinda and talked to her a little bit. I think she was the only person I told at that point. And I started thinking, why hasn't he called me? If he is in jail, like, he gets that one phone call, right? I thought. I don't know. Never been to jail before. So then somehow or another, from some show I watched, because I was obsessed with watching jail shows, I remembered that you can't call out from a jail on the like collect line or the free whatever to somebody's cell phone. So it's like, okay, that's why he hasn't called. And then, God, sometimes I wonder how in the heck my brain figured this stuff out. I'm like, okay, I need to figure out how to put money on his books. I'm like, Jesus Christ, like, put money on his books? Come on. What kind of friggin' nightmare are we living in? It took me hours to figure it out. Again, Hawthorne is a nothing Nevada town. The jail is tiny. So it was like this very obscure website that I found where you can go to put money on somebody's books, but you have to have their inmate number. I'm like, well, I don't have that. In Washoe County, you can just go on the jail's website and look up any inmate. Not in Hawthorne. Call. See, finally, the sheriff picked up and asked if I could talk to him. He said no. He's like, I'm the only one here and I have to go out to the yard to do something, so let me take your name and number and call you back. Well, of course, he never called me back. And so somehow or another, I found his arrest record and his inmate ID number. And went through the website, figured out how to put money on his books. This process took me hours, not even kidding you, hours. Finally fell asleep. I had to get up the next morning and go to work. So I get up the next morning like nothing happened. Go to work. I remember driving to work on the freeway, and I let out the biggest scream I have ever screamed in my life. Didn't even cry, just screamed. got there, told my one boss what was going on because I knew like I wasn't going to be all there. I needed to find an attorney. I needed to see if he was calling anybody. I needed to fix this. Because that's what I do. I fix things. I fix people. I put my own needs aside to help everybody else. Finally found an attorney. Nowhere in Washoe County would take the case because it was too far away, blah, blah, blah. Finally found somebody, talked to his assistant. She said he would, and that he did something with that DA or jail or I don't even know. And she would take my information and have him call me back. I was like, okay, great, waiting for somebody to call me back. So I put in messages with a few other places. And the one guy finally called me back. I told him what had happened. And he says, okay, I can help you, but I need to be really clear about one thing and to have you answer this question very honestly. Has he ever hurt you before? Because if you say yes, I'm not taking the case. If this has ever happened with you guys before, any domestic, anything, if he's ever hurt you, I'm not going to do it. So I lied. Of course he's never hurt me before. This was just a one-time thing. His PTSD, he just had a flashback and it was really bad and it was all an accident. So okay, he takes the case. He says, but I need you to wire me $5,000 right now for the retainer. And he had gotten money from the VA, but we had separate bank accounts, so I didn't have any access to his money. So I got every penny I had, and all I could get together was $2,500. So I sent them $2,500, and I said, I promise you, the second we can get in touch with him, he's got money in his bank account, he'll send you the other $2,500. Promise. It's like, okay. So at this point, he got arrested Saturday night, early Sunday morning. It was now Monday afternoon. Still uncalled. I think I talked to his parents, and they said that they had talked to him briefly, which hurt. I was sitting at my desk and I saw a phone call pop up on my phone and it said something Hawthorne, I don't remember, and I knew it was him. So I get my phone and I go out back. I'll never forget this. This is a phone call you never think you're going to get. You have a call from Hawthorne County Jail from, and then they have to say their name. And you could just hear in that phone call when he said his name, he was scared, everything. And it goes, so if you would like to accept the call, press 1. So I press 1. And I can hear it go through. And I just started crying. And I screamed, babe, are you okay? Are you okay? What's happening? What's going on? And he kind of started, I mean, he's in jail, so he can't like sit there and cry. You could tell he got emotional. He said, I'm really sorry I didn't call you sooner. I just figured you didn't ever want to talk to me again. So I called my parents first, and they told me they had been talking to you and that you were okay and that you were trying to help me. So I just took some time and prepared myself and finally got the nerve to call you. So I had a very quick conversation because it's very expensive and the money runs out fast. And it's telling you the whole time, like, you have 30 seconds left, you have 10 seconds left. So I told him I figured out how to put money on his books. There's money on his books if he needs anything. He's like, yeah, I know, I got it. Can you put more on there? Because I think I've used most of it on these phone calls. And he said, told him about the attorney. He said he hadn't heard from the attorney yet because I guess the attorney can call the jail, or I don't freaking know how all this stuff works. Said bye. That was super emotional. Hearing your husband in jail. So after that, it was a lot of back and forth with the attorney, and the attorney had realized how serious his charges were. And was like trying to work with the DA, but there's one DA and there's one judge and one sheriff in this whole town, and somebody was on vacation, or I don't know. Couldn't get a hold of anybody. I could hardly ever get a hold of the attorney. He never returned phone calls. So at one point he called, he's like, yeah, it's gonna be a few days, and maybe tomorrow, that whole thing kept happening. Finally one night he calls, he says, yeah, I got a hold of the DA, we're working out a deal, we've agreed on it, everybody has agreed on it, we just have to type it up and have the judge sign off on it, and they'll release him and give him information on like court dates and hearings and stuff. Okay, cool. And he said that he was scheduled to be released the following day. So I had talked to Cody that night, updated him, told him what was going on. The attorney had updated him and told him what was going on. So I was like, I'll drive to Hawthorne tomorrow and pick you up. Obviously, like, what else do you do? But the attorney told me, like, don't go until I tell you, because I can't promise you he's going to get out tomorrow. But stupid me, I just, like, hope and believe in the best of everything all the time. So I went to work, told my boss that I had to leave, which was super embarrassing. I have to leave to go pick my husband up from jail. And by the way, he's in jail for felony domestic abuse. Cool. Drive down to Hawthorne, find the jail, find the entrance to the jail, go inside. There's nobody inside. And like through this window, I could see guards walking around. So they kind of came out and they're like, "Are you here for somebody?" I said, "Yeah, I'm just supposed to pick up my husband." They're like, "What's your husband's name?" I said, "Cody Moore." They're like, "He's not getting released today. His case got continued. We just got back from the courthouse talking to the judge, and the judge said no." Call the attorney. He's like, "Oh my God, told you not to go down there." I was like, "Well, I did, and I'm here, so what do we do?" Somehow or another, he told me to go to the DA's office. So I found where that was, found the entrance to that trailer, literally a trailer. Lady at the front desk, told her kind of what was going on. She's like, "Oh yeah, I saw some paperwork come through for him. They're trying to work it out." There was just one little hiccup. Because when the judge was getting ready to sign his paperwork to let him out, they saw that he had once been arrested before in Susanville for gun-related charges. And he was like, "Oh no, you've done this before. I'm not letting you out." So that was the hang up with the judge. The DA's like, no, we got it under control. We're coming up with an agreement. I just have to finish writing it and have the judge sign off on it. And they'll let him go. Okay, cool, fine, whatever. So you can hang out here for a little while, or you can go back over to the area where the courthouse is and talk to the court clerk about where it's at in the process. Okay, so I go back over there, talk to the court clerk. They all know this case because it's, like I said, small town, nothing, little Nevada town. And this big giant, like, case rolls through, like everybody knows. So she looks at me kind of concerned. Didn't really tell me what was going on, just told me to wait. They were waiting for the judge to come back from, I don't know, whatever the hell he was doing. So I'm sitting in this little trailer. The door opens. This old guy walks in. Tall, skinny, old guy. And he kind of looks over at me. And then he starts walking. And he goes into like this little hallway with the court clerk lady. And you can hear him whispering. And I heard them say a couple things. So I knew they were talking about his case. So I kept waiting. And finally, this freaking little old lady, this court clerk, bless her heart, she's the sweetest thing. She came walking out into the little waiting area, and she sat down next to me and put her hand on my leg, and she's like, I'm really sorry, but the judge said he's not going to release him to you, and he's going to be on house arrest. We're trying to figure out whose house he's going to be at. It was going to be his parents' house, but they had to get like his parents on the phone, like all this information. And she said, and the judge issued a no contact order. So you guys can't see each other, you can't talk to each other, nothing. I was freaking devastated. It was like another hit when I felt like I couldn't take anymore. And I left and I walked out and I sat in my car and I just sat there for a minute like, what am I supposed to do? And the attorney wouldn't return my phone calls. I can't just call the jail and ask to talk to Cody. And he called me right in that moment where I was just breaking down. I was just crying. I said, I'm so sorry. They're going to let you out, but I can't pick you up. And they're issuing a no contact order. So this is probably going to be the last time we're going to talk for a while. What do you say? So we hung up the phone. I cried the whole way home. I called and talked to his parents, told them the situation. They're like, yeah, fine, he can stay here, obviously, no big deal. Like, we'll go pick him up whenever we're able to. And I didn't know how long he was going to stay out there for, so I went home. And I got all the suitcases that we had, which wasn't very many, maybe 2 or 3. And I put as much of his stuff in those suitcases as I could. Pretty much all of his things. And I put little things in there for him that would, like, reassure him that he knew I was thinking about him and that, like, everything was somehow be okay. So he had this little, it was like a bear or something, tiny little thing. And he had gotten it when he was a kid. So I found that and I put it in one of his bags, like right on top where he could see it. And then I got his big red Hydro Flask water bottle. And in big letters, like I didn't know what else to do, so in big letters I just wrote "I love you so much" on his water bottle in Sharpie. Got back, loaded it all up in the car, got back in the car, drove it out to his parents' house, and they weren't there. They were sleeping or something. I don't know. I think his dad was still working nights. And put it all in the back of his truck and just left it there. I went back home. On my way home, his dad called me. His dad was in charge of picking him up that night. His dad was drunk. And I just felt so angry and so helpless. Like, come on. Like, you're the only person in the world that can help right now get your fucking son out of jail, and you know you have to go pick him up, and you're drunk. Like, and that, I was so fucking pissed off. Like, this is why he is the way he is. This is why he's an alcoholic, because you're a fucking alcoholic. And I couldn't say anything, and I couldn't do anything. All I could sit there was hope and pray that it would somehow work out. And there's some system for, like, domestic abuse where you can call this phone number, and then when the inmate gets released, it gives you an automated phone call telling you that the inmate's been released for, like, your protection, right? Like, some magical phone call is going to make you protected from this person who just did whatever to you. So I got that phone call, so I knew he had been let out. It's like, okay, I called his parents, no answer. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I just assumed that they went to go get him. It was hours later. It was probably like 10:30. They called me. His mom called me and said that they had got him and that he was home and was doing okay. And it was excruciating to know that he was sitting there and I couldn't talk to him. Like, we were told we can't even talk through a third party. We can't even, like, tell his mom, oh, I said hello, and she can relay that message. So what do you do? I mean, what do you really do? And the next couple weeks were just surreal and, like, all lumped into one, and then very dramatic for a myriad of other reasons that came about. So we'll continue that story in a little bit. For now, I think I need to breathe, listen to some music. It's cold, so I need to get the AC off, and probably check in and let people know where I'm at. So, we'll talk soon.